What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. If you like this content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe because it really helps the channel out. And with that being said, let's jump right into the video. Okay, so if you're a Walking Dead fan these days, you understand the highs and lows that this series can bring. More so if you're a fan of the entire universe, that being the world beyond, and of course, the always fluctuating Fear the Walking Dead. But honestly, I've been thinking about this over the last couple of days, and I feel like I've finally figured out why Fear the Walking Dead just feels so strange to me as an entire television show. It's all filler! That's right, I feel like once we start breaking down everything that has happened from Fear the Walking Dead from Season 4 all the way to Season 7, I think there's no better way to describe it than filler for the entire Walking Dead universe. And I honestly don't think I'm exaggerating any of this. Ever since Morgan showed up, the entire series has been leapfrogging between one major promise for the series going forward or one major connection to the entire universe that ultimately ends up going nowhere. I mean, let's take this plot arc by plot arc. When Morgan first showed up in Season 4A, the series' time jumps acted as a way for them to write off certain main characters of the cast while integrating Morgan into the lead of the entire series.
Get out. You give me a minute?
Then in Season 4B, the entire series just spun its wheels as Morgan promised to go back to Alexandria and bring the entire cast of Fear the Walking Dead with him. And I remember at the time a lot of people thinking that that was going to be the trajectory of Fear the Walking Dead going forward, that Season 5 or maybe even Season 6 would act as a bridge for Morgan and co to eventually make their way to the Walking Dead timeline, with the entire cast of both two shows integrating into each other and allowing Morgan to take on Yumiko's role that would have been Michonne's in Season 10 and 11 of The Walking Dead, with Dwayne coming back as the person who survived and ended up working in the bakery in the Commonwealth. But lo and behold, at the very end of Season 4, Morgan just essentially tells everyone, no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to stay here and help people.
This is where it all started.
From there we go into Season 5, where the entirety of the group spins its wheels as we have one episode dedicated to Al meeting a person from the CRM, which is the thing that's supposed to count as the inner universe connectivity tissue for that entire season. But it's just one episode. In the meantime, we have our second big crossovers with the Walking Dead universe, having Dwight and Sherry from the main show come all the way to Texas, following letters to each other, and just inexplicably catching up with Morgan and becoming part of his team. Look, I'm all for coincidences. This is fiction, I get it. I don't care, it's just weird. But at the very end of Season 5, we're introduced to Virginia, who seems like a decent enough villain at first, and someone who can legitimately grow a community, something that Morgan has been trying to do for the better part of a season and a half. And going into Season 6, knowing this specific villain and understanding her ability to make a thriving community, not to mention the aesthetic that her whole people choose to wear in a Western sense, and then going into Season 10, Episode 13 of The Walking Dead, with the last shot of Michonne joining a group that looks suspiciously like Virginia and her settlers.
No way!
Was anybody else like me really surprised that those two things had no connection, even though it felt like there was a lot of visual cues that said they did? I guess in a certain way, you don't need these particular shows to connect from one community to another. Even though this series thinks it's okay to have specific characters run across each other in the whole of the United States, despite not knowing that either of them existed in that specific area. So when you do take that into account, it starts to feel a little bit more like the show is teasing us into bigger and bigger things for this spin-off, something that should be used to be building the entire universe, instead of just teasing certain things that don't really pan out and have no overall connection to the Walking Dead universe. Just certain things that are wholly encompassed within its own television show. Oh yeah, I forgot that we have a couple of CRM mentions, even leading to pretty much most of our cast being saved by the CRM at the very end of Season 6, and that went nowhere in Season 7.
Listen, don't ask the pilot any questions?
Now, getting into the last part of Season 6 and to Season 7, we have the introduction of Teddy as a villain in Season 6, who ultimately ends up nuking all of Texas. Everyone staying stagnant in Texas as they wear their radiation suits, looking for food and shelter in a new community, all while they're infighting with each other. Morgan versus Strand, now Alicia versus Strand, in what is supposed to be an all-out war as we're biding time to eventually get to this Padre location, where it seems relatively likely that Madison has been held up ever since the diamond burned down in Season 4. Now, I feel like I should say that none of this would be a legitimate deal breaker for an independent television show like Fear the Walking Dead. It's just that, as I mentioned earlier, this is part of an entire universe where this show in particular has a better chance at exploring and expanding the entire universe, or at least the knowledge around various things like the CRM, whatever Padre is, whether it's connected to the CRM or not, as well as various other communities, or at the very least, as I mentioned for Season 4, finding a way to wrap itself up and kind of swallow up the main cast or anybody worth keeping from Fear the Walking Dead into the main show before they decided to end the main show because of streaming reasons. Seriously, I know that Grace said that they can escape on a car, but when you have various episodes dedicated to the fact that they can't find food or don't have enough ground for sustainable crops or cattle or anything like that because of what happened with Teddy, what are your other options? Leave. Instead, this season we're getting entire episodes where no one does anything besides talk about nonsense that shouldn't matter. It's a 40-year-old cold case, what the heck?
Hell is it?
Stop talking about it and eat it, there's not much left.
That's willing to kill over a quart of fruit.
What are you
It's always
talking
what it
about?
gets.
It's a nuclear apocalypse, food is
And
scarce.
honestly-
I want us to have.
That's great, go somewhere else.
Then we're going to war.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
And like I said at the beginning of this video, I have been dealing with this back and forth for a while now. Why is Fear the Walking Dead always building up hopes and doing really cool, interesting things, only for it to fall completely flat? And I feel like I finally found the answer. Nothing that happens in this series has any major consequence with anything going on in the entire universe, at least as far as we know with the World Beyond in the main show, both of which being several years into the future from where Fear the Walking Dead is currently taking place. Morgan and his crew do nothing to greatly impact everything that's going on in the entire universe of The Walking Dead. Not the nuclear bomb, not any of the things that they're trying to build or anything else like that. It always feels like there's something bigger going on with the entire universe, be it the Rick Grimes movies, this Isle of the Dead TV show, the Daryl and Carol spinoff of it does end up happening given some of the rumors, and legitimately everything else that they're building towards. Even some of the Tales from the Walking Dead episodes feel like they could be bigger for the universe and tell us more about everything going on. But Fear the Walking Dead just keeps getting smaller and smaller in the scope and everything that they're capable of doing. I hope Padre fixes this. I hope that the series in Season 8, maybe even as Season 7 continues to go forward, I hope it expands and we get a lot more about the CRM, Padre, and the overall universe within this show, and Morgan becomes a major player, as well as Alicia or Madison or whoever else is going to make it out of this war. But for right now, I feel like we've been sitting through multiple seasons of nothing but filler, just something to serve as a template for The Walking Dead, or just 16 weeks out of the year for Walking Dead content, even though there's never anything going on in the entire series. But those are just my opinions. Tell me yours in the comment section below. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. It's been real.